This is the Elevate Construction Podcast, delivering remarkable content for workers, leaders, and companies in construction wanting to take their next step. Get ready to step out of your comfort zone with Jason Schroeder as he encourages you to do better, live a remarkable life, and expect more. Let's go.
Welcome to the Elevate Construction Podcast, where we mix work with ethics, morals, and eternal principles. My name is Jason Schroeder, and today's Build a Little Better podcast is about honesty. So let me tell you a story. Getting into medical school is pretty competitive, and the desire to do well and be successful puts a great deal of pressure on the new incoming freshmen. My husband had worked hard on his studies and went to attend his first examination. The honor system was expected behavior at the medical school. The professor passed out the examination and left the room. Within a short time, students started to pull little cheat papers out from under their papers or from their pockets. My husband recalled his heart beginning to pound as he realized it is pretty hard to compete against cheaters. About that time, a tall, lanky student stood up in the back of the room and stated, "I left my hometown and put my wife and 3 little babies in an upstairs apartment and worked very hard to get into medical school. And I'll turn in the first one of you who cheats, and you better believe it." And they believed it. There were many sheepish expressions, and those cheat papers started to disappear as fast as they had appeared. He set a standard for the class, which eventually graduated the largest group in the school's history. Now, I like this story for a couple of reasons. Oh, by the way, this is on a little YouTube video called Honesty, You Better Believe It. And that story has always stood out to me. And we have been told in construction, in our careers, growing up, hopefully by our parents, that honesty and integrity is a key principle, our key principles, values that we have to have in order to be successful. And I believe it, but this kind of brings it home. There's 2 parts to that story that I really like. One of them is that honesty isn't always associated with high talent. These people are in medical school. They have done very well for themselves. They've achieved accomplishments that most people have not. And they are still inclined to cheat and worry and try to rest on some tips and tricks instead of their hard studies and trusting in their own natural ability and their own grit, right? The other thing is that this one person stood up and spoke up to the entire group, spoke up, spoke out, and did the right thing and was pretty brave in saying, "Hey, I'll turn in the first one of you that cheats." In construction, and in most industries, but in construction specifically, we have to have the courage to stand up. We have to have the honesty and integrity to do something. And we have to have the courage and the bravery to stand up, speak out, and to say something and to set a standard for everyone else to believe in. Now, really quickly, just because I'm not perfect or have not been perfect with this in the past does not mean I don't get to speak about it now. Meaning perfection was never a requirement for somebody to advocate a principle. I have in my life, in fact, especially before I got married, had traits and habits of dishonesty, and it's taken years and years and years to work through different systems to program myself in a different way. I've told lies in the past. I've said things that were dishonest, and I've repented of those things and corrected myself. And so I'm not perfect, and I'm not telling you that you should be perfect, but I am saying that if we use honesty and integrity as a guiding principle in our lives and in our careers and always head in that direction, that we will be very well off and well served by those principles. So again, I'm not perfect. I strive every day, if anybody knows me, to be honest, and where I've made mistakes, I've apologized and made amends. So the key concept here I'd like to present in this backdrop, that there was a story once told me, which I really enjoyed, where a young man had a mother who didn't have a lot of finances to go purchase clothes. So she would purchase bulk materials, but she would always go back to the store to look at the original patterns. And so this young man would see his mother looking at the seam lengths and the measurements and how the garments were put together. And she would go home and then from memory piece those together and make shirts and pants and other different types of clothing for her family. And his note, his observation that he shared with everyone else was that anytime she went to go make another shirt or another set of pants, she would always go back to the store. Now, whether somebody thought, this was honest to copy the patterns or not, I don't know that that's a part of the story. The part of the story here is that we always have to go back to a source of truth as we're moving forward in our lives. We always have to go back to the original pattern when creating patterns for ourselves. And so she would always go back to the store to create the patterns for those shirts and those pants. If she had not done that, she had made a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Pretty soon things would look deformed and not be where they were supposed to be. You might have, holes for arms in the wrong spot. And you might have other portions of that shirt or those pants which started to deform and they wouldn't fit naturally. So always go back to the source. Honesty and integrity is our pattern, is our source that we should always go back to, and not make a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy. Now, in construction, I will say that it is a little bit difficult to be honest and have integrity in the environment that we live in. We are de-incentivized from doing those things, but let me just tell you that we can do it. And let me define honesty and integrity the way I see them briefly. Honesty is always saying the truth, telling the truth, and being honest. Integrity is doing the right thing even when nobody's watching. And I liken this to two little examples that I usually share in FE Bootcamp. One is when you're in front of an owner doing an interview, or when you're actually interviewing for your job that you have now or that you want to have, or if you're put in a situation where you're asked a question and telling the truth isn't very favorable, meaning from an economic position or a socially acceptable position or a peer pressure position, what are you going to do? And the answer is you tell the truth. You be honest. And there's nothing wrong with saying, hey, I don't know the answer to that. I'll get back to you later. But really, we need to be honest in all that we say. And then integrity is doing the right thing even if nobody's watching. And on some construction projects, we are left as the last point of quality control and quality assurance on the project, meaning that there isn't an inspector there isn't a structural inspector there, and we're able to place footings or place caissons or do certain things like that ourselves as a contractor with no oversight. And the question that I brought up is, if you notice that footings you're about to place, and let's say you have 100 yards on the way, or 60 yards or 40 yards, it doesn't matter, and you notice that you have number 5 bar in the footing and you're supposed to have number 6 bar. Nobody caught it, but you now know it, and you've got thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of concrete on the way. What do you do? And the answer for most people would be, oh my gosh, can I switch them out? Can I hide it? Can I write an RFI later? But the real answer is we need to do the right thing and cancel that concrete placement. And we need to take out that number 5 bar and replace it with number 6 bar. And we need to admit to our mistakes. We need to always tell the truth, and we need to always do the right thing. And this is the only sure way to be successful in life with other people and to basically move forward in a way that will be happy. So here are a couple of principles. And again, this is brief, but I do want to make a point here. Never lie, even in an interview. Always tell the truth. So we tell the truth when we're in interviews. We tell the truth when we're with the schedule. We don't keep 2 schedules. We don't sandbag. We don't lie to the owner. We don't lie to trade partners about the schedule. If we say, hey, we want to meet a milestone deadline that's a little bit earlier than our substantial completion date, you tell the trade partners that that's what's going to happen, and you make sure that that's open and transparent in the contract. If we had said in our basis of schedule that on levels 1 and 2 we are going to do priority walls, but levels 3, 4, and 5 we're not going to do priority walls, and that's in everybody's contract, we don't let the framer come up and sneak up and say, hey, we want to go install these walls, even though we said we weren't going to, for the mechanical contractor, the plumbing contractor, and anyone else going overhead. If whatever we said we were going to do, we're going to be fair and honest. We're going to do what we said we're going to do. We're going to do what the contract says we're going to do, and we're going to keep our commitments. So we never lie. We always tell the truth in interviews. We tell the truth with schedules. We tell the truth with commitments. We tell the truth with how things are really going. And we tell the truth to our people, the other people on our teams, so that they know what's going on. And here's another one. We tell the truth about safety metrics. I think that our industry is only going to get better if we truly Only if we truly know what the safety metrics are, meaning how are we really doing? How many first aid cases do we have? How many dark cases do we have? How many recordables do we have? How many injuries do we have where it's a significant injury or fatality? Are these metrics being accurately reported? And if we can accurately report them, then we can tie those trends to certain types of work and go get to the root cause and actually go fix things and make for a safer environment. So when I see people lying in interviews, lying on the schedule, lying with safety metrics, lying on their projects, lying about quality control, I really feel like it's not from a judgmental place. It's from a place of, no. We in construction, we have to get better. And the only way we're going to get better is if we're open and honest and transparent about everything. And that contractors are trusted, and everybody is in a culture where we know we have to go do the right thing, and we can be trusted to go build these structures, these footings, these foundations, these buildings, these exterior skin systems with quality and integrity every step of the way, and do quality at the source and fix things as we go. And here's the question. What's the alternative? If honesty and integrity isn't a standard for us, and it isn't a standard for the people around us, or it isn't a standard for people on project sites, then what is the alternative? I would say that it's hell. It's an environment where there's no stability. We don't know what's going on. We can't take pride in our work. We don't know what the is. We never know how to deal with proper information because we don't know the truth. Everything's inconsistent. And we're in this world where there is no stability from an emotional, ethics, moral standpoint. And that is an environment that I don't want to live in. That is an environment that I don't want to live in. I'll go back to an example that I talked about before. Everybody wants their doctor to be open and honest and transparent and to have integrity. Everybody wants the people doing surgery on them to be honest and have integrity. Everybody wants other contractors that are doing work for them in their personal residence to have honesty and integrity. Everybody wants their accountant to have honesty and integrity. Everybody wants the nurse taking care of your baby in the hospital to have honesty and integrity. When your life is in somebody else's hand, you want that. And so why would we not expect that from ourselves? Why would we not teach that as a guiding principle? Why would that not be in our schools? Why would that not be in our beginning orientation and our training? And hopefully it is. And if it is, kudos to you, because you will be served best on your project and in your career and as a company with being open and honest and with having transparency and with having integrity in everything we do than above and over any other principle that we can espouse. We need to make sure that we are 100% above the line, that we are following those guiding principles, and it will bless everything that we do. And if we do that, then I feel like discrimination will reduce or go away, that harassment will reduce and go away, that people will report on problems and not feel like they have to cover things up because of peer pressure. I feel like we'll have better quality projects. I feel like we'll actually get down to the root cause of certain safety issues. I feel like we'll actually know what's going on in the industry, right? Like right now, just as a representative example, there's a 20% difference between what a contractor has to say to sell work versus what the contractor can actually do to build it. And I think that's dishonesty. I think people are going out there and lowballing price and lowballing schedule, and everybody does it. And now we're in this culture where we're not telling owners and customers what the real story is. The industry isn't adjusting, and we're making workers and other people pay for these things and making them work extra hard, putting people in unsafe conditions because we just don't want to be honest. And I really feel like we need to get to a point where we as an industry are just better about that, where if somebody says, hey, this is what's going on, then they can be believed, and that's accurate information, and we all tell the truth. Wouldn't that be beautiful if every contractor, just think about this for a minute, Wouldn't that be beautiful if every contractor out there was honest about how long it would take to build a job? Wouldn't that be beautiful if every contractor out there was honest about what it costs to build a job? Wouldn't that be beautiful if everyone in an interview actually spoke to their own merits, the truth about the circumstance, and didn't go out there and act dishonestly and tell untrue things? Wouldn't that be wonderful if we actually knew the trends for safety and the root cause analysis for things? Wouldn't that be wonderful if when you contracted a building, you knew that it was going to be built right? Those things would be absolutely wonderful. Now, honesty also comes and needs to come with a little bit of bravery. I always think about this, and I don't know how to explain it right, but I'll try my best. I really think that we need to get out of high school when we're on the project sites. I hear a lot of people say, well, I don't want to rat that person out, or, hey, I'm not going to say that, or I'm not going to tell you who it is. Or when we're talking about reporting people for things like harassment or discrimination or bad quality or telling a lie or getting somebody hurt, somebody says, because of social peer pressure, I'm not going to tell the truth. And I just think to myself, guys and gals, we're not in high school anymore. I realized that, when I was in high school, I was incentivized to fit into my social group, to do what they said, to not rat people out, to not say things about other people in my group that would take them down. I wouldn't tattletale. I wouldn't do those things. But we are not in that world. We are not here to think selfishly about ourselves and to want people to like us. We are here to keep people safe and to deliver a good quality project to our customers. And so we have to tell the truth, and we have to be brave enough and courageous enough to speak up against our peers, with our peers, to our peers, and to go do the right thing. So if I ask somebody a question, what happened here? I expect to know what's going on. Or if somebody reports that there was a possible discrimination case and I ask a question and somebody says, well, I don't want to mention names. I don't care if you don't want to mention names. We need to do the right thing right here. We need to know what's going on, and you need to be honest, and you need to speak up. And I'm not talking about you listening, but the person I'm imaginarily I don't even know if that's a word, but the person I'm talking about, the person I'm talking to in my little example here, you need to be honest and tell me right now what's going on, which means you need to be brave. Stop treating me like I'm your parole officer. Stop treating me like you're in high school. Grow up, be a man, be a woman, say what needs to be said, and protect the innocent. That's how this works. So we need to always associate bravery and courage with honesty, because that's what it's going to take to speak up. And I feel like if people did that, then people would report mishaps. People would report discrimination. People would report harassment. People would report bad quality. People would report unsafe actions. People would report anything that we need to report and say what we need to say and get done what we need to get done so that we're more effective out there in the field. So again, I hope this story has been a little bit helpful. I hope that your parents or your mentors or somebody that you respect really believes in honesty and integrity, because for all of us, and especially me, it's going to or has taken years and years and years of programming to get that way. Now, should we always divulge things that are trashy transparency, things that don't need to be divulged? No. Do we need to tell the truth when it matters? And you know when it matters. I don't need to say when it matters. The answer is yes. And I'll give you just a quick little closing story here, just to prove that I'm not making this stuff up and that this is a real thing for me. So there was once a time when I oversaw the installation of some APS duct banks, and I had coordinated these duct banks to go into the sewer line. We had modeled it, we had done everything, but I didn't check to make sure that the APS drawings, the installation drawings, were updated from that model coordination. And then we get out there, I didn't do it. We installed the APS duct banks and they were all in, and then it came time to connect the sewer line, and the sewer line from the building was heading right through it. And the contractor, I remember them asking me, do we want to just separate these conduits a little bit and shove the line through and cover this portion of it up and hope the inspectors don't see it? What do we want to do here? And I was thinking to myself, I'm ashamed of myself that I actually thought about it. And I was like, what do I do here? And then it dawned on me, my principles are honesty and integrity. I teach this stuff. I say this stuff. This is what needs to happen. So I went into and talked to the general superintendent on the project. And I was like, hey, I completely ran this sewer line or this duct bank in the way of this sewer line. We have a massive problem. And that took $320,000 to fix. Had to install a lift station. It was a big deal, but I just marched my happy butt right into that office and told him exactly what happened and owned up for it. And every time I've done that through my career, it has panned out for me, and there has not been lasting effects, and people have learned to trust me where I was trustable, meaning I have made mistakes and lost trust with people, but every time that I have worked in a cultural creation type of a way to continue to act with honesty and integrity, I have built trust, and it has really panned out for me in my career. And so for anybody listening, that will happen to you too. You will get away from bad behaviors. You will go towards good behaviors that will pan out for you and allow you to live a remarkable life. So if you have any questions for me, want further clarification, want other podcast topics, or you want to give me feedback, please reach out to me on LinkedIn or at jasons@elevateconstructionist.com. IST stands for Insights, Solutions, and Training. And we just really want to make sure that this is being impactful and that you're getting the support that you need. So I hope this has been helpful. Until we meet again, I hope that you intentionally practice and remember the principles of honesty and integrity in everything that you do, and that you go do the right thing when nobody is watching, and you say the right thing no matter what's on the line. And I hope this helps. On we go.
Please join us next time in elevating the entire construction experience for workers, leaders, and companies coast to coast. If you're enjoying the show, please feel free to share with your construction colleagues and help us spread the word by rating, subscribing, and leaving a review on your preferred podcast listening platform. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next time on the Elevate Construction Podcast.